Hello and welcome to Think Watercolour. Today I want to demonstrate how with just two colours you can create a fairly pleasing image simply by varying their values. I'm going to paint an imaginary view standing on a beach looking out to sea on a cloudy but bright spring day. The two colours I'm going to be using are bluish grey, which is made up from cobalt blue with a tiny amount of neutral tint. And for the second colour I'm just going to use pure raw sienna. I'm working with my board flat, and this is an 11 by 7 inch piece of Saunders Waterford 300 gram rough paper. I'm going to start with the sky using very watery mixes of the two colours to keep the values light. This is a fairly easy way to paint a simple sky. Just loosely paint in some areas of the grey-blue, not being too fussy, leaving a few white patches as well. Keeping it fairly light. Then just soften the edges with some water, some clean water. Just take away most of the hard edges. I'm keeping this sky fairly light because I want to depict a spring day rather than a dark and stormy day. But if you want to make the sky seem a little bit more menacing, perhaps just darken the values of the colours that you're using. But in this case, I want to keep it very light. I want to try and depict a distant sky on a bright day. Again, just added some water to the raw sienna that I already mixed up, keeping it very, very wet and loose and very light in value. This will dry lighter anyway, but as I say, I want it to be a cloudy but bright day. Just blending the two colours together, let them mix organically on the page. Okay, I've let that dry and I'm just painting a simple horizon, fairly light horizon, mid-tone, just to give me a guide as to where I want the sea to be. Doesn't matter if there are any hard edges on this because I'm going to be going over a little bit later with some darker tones. I'm just going to lightly block in a few patches of bluey grey. Leaving some areas of white. I want to depict some breaking waves. This is the underpainting for the sea. Not being too fussy, keeping it very simple, just very loose. Again, still keeping the mix fairly watery. Just going to add some of the watery raw sienna mix, let it blend into the grey. As I say, keeping it fairly light. This is just the initial wash. And as I come a bit closer down, I'm just going to add a little bit more pigment, I think, just to darken the sand that's closest to us. Not too dark. It's this, as I say, it's the underpainting, so I will go darker shortly. But I'm going to let this dry. And now that's dry, I'm just going to start adding the darker values for the waves. And what I've done here is I've mixed up the same color but with less water, so it's more pigment laden, thus making it darker in tonal value. Not being too fussy, just loosely indicating some waves breaking, trying to leave some white patches. Just keeping a very thin line towards the edge where the waves are just washing up on the shore. While that's still wet, just adding a little bit more pigment into the mix. I want to bring those waves forward as if they're in the foreground, just breaking on the edge of the shore. And as you can see, the horizon is now looks a long way away because it's much lighter. Just adding a little bit of an edge to those breaking waves as they're running up the sand. I've just darkened the mix for the raw sienna. It's much thicker now, and I'm just using the side of the brush to pick up the tooth of the paper to indicate some detail on in the sand closest to us, and then just softening it in with some clear water. I'm just going to add some of the grey mix into that, and adding a little bit of water just to blend it together to create the suggestion of wet sand, where the waves have run up the beach and then run back, so leaves a patch of wet sand, and nearest to us where it's darker, it's dry sand. So let's see, that's what I'm trying to create anyway. Just gently blending, a little bit of clear water, softening everything together. Just taking out a little bit of that detail in the foreground so it's not overpowering. But I want the foreground to be darker so that it draws the eye towards you, so that you had the depth in the painting that I'm looking for. Okay, I've let that dry, and I'm just adding a little bit of white gouache to some of the waves, just to finish it off. Really, I've just had a good look at the painting while the camera was off, and just thought I needed to bring out some of the highlights. I should have been a bit more careful when I was painting this and left the white of the paper to do this, but doesn't matter. And just adding a little bit of shadowing on the edge of the waves where they're breaking. Very thin lines, just to suggest that they're just running up the beach. And as I add these darker patches, very thin lines, it just brings that area forward to the eye. You know, darker colours come towards you generally, and lighter colours tend to recede. There we have the finished article. I'm reasonably happy with the way this quick 10-minute sketch has turned out. As you can see, the sky is slightly darker at the top and gets lighter towards the horizon, creating this feeling of depth in the painting. I've tried to keep things loose and semi-abstract to suggest the foreground waves breaking on the shoreline rather than going into lots of detail, and I think it's turned out okay. Do give this a try. This literally took me 10 minutes. I edited out any drying time. I used a hairdryer in between doing various washes. Do give this a try yourself. It's fairly simple sketch to do. You can use this as a guide. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. If you did, do give it a like. Always helps with YouTube. Do subscribe for future videos if you're not a subscriber, and hit the notification bell. And once again, thanks for watching.